Alright guys, in today's video I wanted to talk about a very specific kind of upcoming FPSs, and it is about the weirdest, most intriguing ones. With today's gaming industry, the indie and AAA developers are releasing a project almost every single day, so there is definitely bound to be a lack of inspiration. A lot of games, especially FPSs, are all starting to look the same as time goes on, even though they offer a really great experience. It's a normal thing since the studios are following what's popular at the moment. But there are certain developers willing to go into uncharted territories and make something that absolutely stands out from the rest. This video is about those weird FPS games, so let's get into it right away, and don't forget to drop a like so the algorithm gods can be in my favor and recommend this video. First off, we have a brand new game that has just been announced, called Ill. Right away I'm starting with one of the weirdest FPS ever, or just the weirdest game in general, with Oleg Dovanko at the center of the studio. Oleg is one of the most talented developer I've seen on Twitter, and is always sharing sneak peeks of the work he's done in the past or what he's working on right now. This guy, like another person I'm gonna talk about later in this video, is famous for creating first-person experiences that actually feel like a CGI thriller. His new game, Ill, is no different than that, and from the little look at gameplay that we have, it is looking absolutely amazing, and also one of the weirdest thing ever. I wouldn't even need a story, just let me explore around and shoot monsters and I would be happy with this. Presented as a horrific first-person adventure game, Ill has three main goals to have when the game releases. First, the Russian studio plans a truly immersive visual like no other game has offered before, and also a very disturbing design, which kind of reminds me of both Resident Evil 7 and Bioshock. Their other goals is to have an extremely advanced physics system with interactive environments, advanced ragdolls, and dismemberment, which by looking at this video, you can definitely see what they mean by ragdoll and dismemberment. Finally, they won't be making a complex story as opposed to other weird games like this, but something that can be understood by almost everyone. But it will of course include an adventure full of shocking discoveries. Ill has definitely gone up into my list of anticipated upcoming games, and I plan on covering more whenever it'll be showing more. The developer is planning on sharing more development footage in the coming days and weeks, so make sure you stay tuned here as I will be covering it on the channel. The studio called Cloud Games are also on Patreon right now to get help for Ill, so if you want to support them on Patreon, just write Cloud Games on Google and you'll find them. Next up we have Russia 2055, another weird game that its gameplay actually looked like a CGI thriller, but it is definitely not. Invictus Volition, a one-man team, is creating a photorealistic tactical shooter where you fight against alien-like machines and have to of course save the world. What stands out to pretty much everyone about this game is the fact that everything looks shockingly real, and it looks like just a soldier with a GoPro on his head. Hideo Kojima, the creator of Death Stranding, also retweeted this project some time ago. After more than 2 years of this game being shown to the public, there really isn't much we know about it still. Invictus has shared some gameplay teases here and there over the past years, but has mostly taken a break on it recently. But I and some other people still hope this game can make it and release one day. Russia 2055 is set to take place in the future, where there are giant mechs used in war against an extremely strong alien invasion. We also know that the game will reportedly have multiplayer for up to 64 players, but at this stage it looks like there's only one map in the game. It certainly looks impressive though, especially when considering that it is being developed by just one person. I'm still hoping it will come to life, and I will definitely be making a video on it when we have more to share. Next up we have Harbin, thanks to BlueDrake42 on YouTube for discovering this great looking game. Harbin is an upcoming voxel based action horror game with fully destructible environment. The game is focusing on a person that is lost in some kind of open world Ice Age environment. We still don't know if it is another planet, if it's from Earth, etc., but we do know there are some creatures that do not want you here, and yourself will have to survive in this very harsh world. The player will be able to use some kind of rotary hammer weapon where you can dig through ice to find a way out of this world, or simply when you're being chased by one of the monsters. Harbin also features a thermal camera to see the creature's movement and where it's going. I wanted to include this project because of how different it is looking from anything I've seen, and clearly the game is in need of visibility. There's truly not many people that know about it yet, so make sure you let me know if you think this game looks interesting, and I will be covering it more in the future. Next up, we have Atomic Heart. Now this one doesn't need an introduction. I've been talking about it so much on the channel, and I am extremely excited for this open world FPS project, which is coming this year on all consoles and PC, of course. Atomic Heart is set in an alternative universe where the Soviet Union has survived after World War II, and the progression in technology has resulted in a much different world. Mass production of robots for different purposes has given a new face to the industrial centers, which is where you'll find yourself in the game. It also turns out that this one such facility has seen its robots begin acting strangely and more aggressively through time. It'll be of course up to you to find out why this is happening. It doesn't help that every robot is programmed with a combat component that turns it into a war machine in just such an occasion. The game has been confirmed to have 30+ hours of content into its story and side quests, which is a lot more than I had hoped for, and I love it. The game features an ever-astonishing open world and always evolving. Either on foot or by car, explore the pride of the Soviet Union, which is the secret scientific facility. Atomic Heart will have many beautiful landscapes across the world, surreal architecture, secret labs, and the romance of Russian country. Things will never ever get repetitive, and your dangerous curiosity will always be rewarded with loot, insight, or with an iron fist of a hostile robot, because there are many wandering around the world. The game will also feature true next-gen combat, rapid, agile, and jaw-dropping close-range combat, where you must learn and adapt all the time to the many different enemies coming at you. Our advice: study movesets of enemies, use firearms and augmented abilities only when the situation is dire. Watch your stamina and flee if you have to. Atomic Heart will feature full destructibility and damage visualization with every hit feeling alive. Welcome to the true next-gen experience. Super excited for this project. Next up, we have the Hive. The Hive is an upcoming FPS horror game that for now might not become a reality, but I'm really hoping to hear more about it in the future. This is a game I personally shared when the game was on Kickstarter, but the project failed to gain the amount it needed. I'm making this part of the video so the developers can see this and get some motivation to keep on working on it and keep on getting inspired, because I love the early footage we got presented. On Discord, the developers said they were trying to find some more finance to keep the game alive, so we'll have to see for that in the future. Now, if the Hive is releasing someday, the game is presented as a new round-based first-person looter shooter set in an NPC-filled, devastated world. The Hive combines competitive FPS and RPG elements to deliver a unique experience, a mix of online multiplayer combat, boss fights, and events that change with every new major content update. Discover new areas, collect gear, improve your character, and try to make it out alive. If you die, you'll not only lose what you gathered during this round, but also what you brought with you into this world. Make it out alive and use your new and improved gear to dominate the weekend-only competitive PvP mode. Other players are not the only thing you need to worry about. Besides patrolling in PC militia, you will encounter far more dangerous enemies. On one side there is the military troops, which will appear every game. These groups are made up of different smaller units and occasionally a single tougher unit which acts as a leader. On the other side they have folklore creatures, which take the role of a big boss and are extremely rare. These types of bosses differ from map to map and are the most dangerous enemies besides other players. They will appear when you expect them the least. As a more aggressive player, you can fight battles in close distance by putting on heavy armor and building a customized SMG, and as a more reserved player, you would perhaps prefer to get an overview of your surroundings and start battles with a slight advantage. Equip yourself with a sniper rifle and a light armor, increase your damage output with necessary components, and eliminate your targets from a long distance. Next up, we have Exomecha, a beautiful Xbox Series X and PC action FPS that I'm waiting on. Exomecha is a free-to-play online competitive first-person shooter that takes place on a planet called Omeka. The game provides players an immersive experience with its high-quality visuals, flexible gameplay, giant mechs, unique gadgets and abilities, and also boss battles. The unique gameplay brings limitless possibilities on how you engage in the combat. A new habitable planet named Omeka becomes discovered by multiple smart species species in the galaxy. To take control of this planet's resources, those species fight against each other. At first, the Exomecha journey will start with all natural environments, but then as more civilizations comes to the planet, the maps will evolve, and each civilization will reflect its theme to maps. In the game, you'll be able to control your own personalized mechs. They will be equipped with both long-range firearms and giant melee weapons. The reason the developers have put melee weapons for the mech is that they want to add a unique flavor to the battle. Primary weapons of the mechs are their swords and shields, and they have the highest damage compared to any other weapon in the game. The other distinguished element in Exomecha is an independent AI-controlled dragon. It is basically everyone's enemy. In the middle of every match, the dragon will come to a random area and will start throwing its flames at any person it sees, so be very careful of this random encounter. Finally, we have Industria. Industria is a first-person shooter that takes you from East Berlin into a parallel reality shortly before the end of the Cold War. On the search for a missing work colleague, you decipher a dark past in a mysterious parallel dimension. On the evening of the fall of the Berlin Wall, a young woman plunges headlong into a parallel dimension to find her missing work colleague who has disappeared under mysterious circumstances. While the checkpoints in East Berlin are still being overrun by crowds of people, Nora escapes from this world into unknown layers of times and into an unknown fate. You'll dive into a lovingly designed world full of mystery and grotesque surreality. There are enemies that lurk around every corner. You'll need to defend yourself with different weapons against the many weird enemies coming at you, while discovering the fate of this world, and of course your colleague and yourself. In the end, it is horrible insights and the question of responsibility that make you dive deeper and deeper into a strange, surreal yet familiar world. Alright guys, that is all for today's video on the weirdest upcoming FPS games. If you'd like to see more compilation videos like these, make sure you drop a like on it, and of course subscribe to stay tuned. Thanks to Space Beer Gaming, Rush Singbati, I Am Legend, Diamond Hunter 45, Themistocles, Rickno23, and Kianzo Fagari for being a master member on the channel. You can become a survivor member for as low as 99 cents a month. It'll help me and the channel as a whole to make more and better videos.